The latest season of living alone in the wild begins. This is the most structured girl I've ever seen. She caught 2 fish. I was so happy right away. Take off all your clothes and come to me. Girl, you're the only contestant who doesn't treat me like an outsider. The time came to the 14th day. Yurik got up one morning to find a lot of fog hanging over the water. Today he plans to continue hunting. You wake up in the morning to hunt for your prey. So far Yurik and Meta are bow hunters. But Abumet has given up. Only Yurik has been holding out. You can't stay out for very long at a time. We're going back to the shelter to get warm. He took out a mirror and scissors to trim his beard. What the hell is this high guy doing? I don't go fishing without food. I'm in the mood to trim my beard. Really don't feel sorry for these high people starving to death. Matt woke up this morning feeling very cold. Her glass of water had formed a layer of ice. The rope is also hard from the cold. It's kind of a weird look. I sleep so cold every night. Matt's planning to remodel the shelter. Build a fireplace in the shelter. Set up a fireplace in the shelter. Well, that's gonna have to expand the shelter. She collected some wood. The wood is also peeled and treated. Drink a glass of water when you are hungry. Soren woke up very cold, too. The puddles are beginning to freeze. He boiled a pot of water to wash his hands. This hand is too dirty to wash. Wash up and get to work. He collected some moss and put it on the stone to dry. Sauron believes moss is an important source of warmth after winter. So he collects a lot of moss and dries it. It's very tiring to work. If there is no food to eat, tiredness doubles. Sauron's moss hut is already very beautiful, and now he wants to build a door. The more detail you pay attention to, the more work you do. And Annie is even better. Take off your clothes every time you pull in the net. Take a shower every morning when you take in the nets. Take off your shorts and wash them, and put the washed shorts on the fire to bake. Boil a pot of water to warm you up. Klaus was collecting blueberries nearby. I got jam all over my hands. Due to the heavy workload every day, there are a lot of cracks in the fingers. With the dry winter, the cracks start to widen. He's going to the shore to pull in his net. I hope I catch some fish. Klaus watched the fishing line from the shore. There doesn't seem to be any movement. Klaus has been trying to fish with a hook, but it didn't work that well. I've had a few big catches though, but not enough to eat. Catching fish with nets is very bad luck. Every time you can't catch a fish, you have to tidy up your nets. He had a hard time getting the net out of the deep end. Look at the line and there's no movement. He felt sure of no success this time, so he went back without picking up the net. Yurik is improving his shelter. He's going to build a door for the shelter. A door looks simple enough, but doing it well is very difficult. He worked on a wooden frame for an hour. Sauron lit a fire in the shelter to keep warm. He feels very hungry now, but you don't go fishing. He deserves to be hungry like a dog. He was whittling wood in the shelter. Are we going to make a spoon to eat the air? It turned out to be a shovel that looked like a spoon and was fishing on the shore. The fish are getting harder to catch these days. Sometimes you can waste a whole day without catching a fish. Annie is the hardest working food contestant I've ever seen, but it's hard to catch fish in winter. Klaus isn't doing any better, is he? No fish either. Yurik was fishing on the shore. Finally a fish bite. He managed to catch a fish today. He grilled the fish on a stick. He's the only one getting dinner tonight. The time came to day 15. Klaus reached the shore early in the morning. He's going to pick up the fake bait that was on the bottom. Taking off your clothes and going into the water in this cold. This is killing me. After some searching, finally got his fake lure back. Yurik's fixing the shelter doors again today. I was working on it all day yesterday. This efficiency is really slower than the turtle. When the doctor came by for a checkup, see his shelter. Ask if this is a permanent shelter or a temporary one. A shelter like Yurik's anyway wouldn't be able to withstand an Arctic winter. Anyway, this is definitely not a champion shelter. Matt woke up one morning to find it snowing. This surprised her very much, because her fireplace isn't ready yet. The sudden heavy snow caught everyone by surprise. They are all gathering firewood, getting ready for the warmth tonight. And Klaus thinks it's a good fishing opportunity. He thinks the pike will talk. This is the first snow on the Finnish Arctic Circle. This place will soon be covered with snow. The temperature soon drops below -22 degrees in winter. The lake will freeze over. Competitors have to cross the ice to catch fish. All players must prepare for the winter. Sauron lit a fire in the shelter to keep warm. It was snowing heavily outside the shelter. The best place to stay warm right now is Sauron's moss hut. Usually lazy players. Takes a whole day to do anything. It's a little late for that. Meta's fireplace continues to be perfected today. It's an important device for heating the shelter. She's halfway outside this fireplace. Yurik is also building stone fireplaces. A fire in the shelter is the key to warmth. He was stocking up on firewood, and Meta's in the middle of it, and he's running out of ideas. Can't make a single fireplace. Don't sign up if that's what you're like, Granny. After Yurik started a fire in the shelter, it immediately felt much warmer. There was a fish head left last night. He actually started eating fish heads. When Soren was checking the shelter, found his shelter frozen. The moss has turned into a smoothie. He continues to use moss to restore the shelter. For the moment, Sauron's shelter is supposed to be the warmest, but he had less luck. How many fish have you been catching? I feel dizzy from all the work. He filled the shelter's logs with tree studs. This can be used to hang things. Soren hung the tools on it, so you don't lose it. Sauron's shelter is the best for heating. The fire reflects heat well against the rocks. Yurik had already eaten his lunch. It's the first time I've ever seen these foreign high men eat fish heads. He found it very delicious. Annie had the best luck fishing. She found a lot of bones outside. These are supposed to be wild deer bones. Today, and continues to collect wood to complete the shelter. Big tent. She slowly converted it into a cabin. The time came to day 16. Matt made some breakfast early in the morning. There was a large patch of reeds near her shelter. I'm eating these reed roots for breakfast today. Sounds like breakfast. The worst word is to eat grass. She couldn't hunt for food before. Just cook the roots and eat them. Annie's been remodeling the shelter lately. It's exhausting to carry wood like this every day. But for a girl, losing weight is a good thing. Soren has a big job to do today. Never had time to do it before. Just sort out the nets. The net is the key to his fishing, especially after winter. You can't fish. You can only catch fish with nets. These players do nothing but catch fish. Can't seem to do anything. The Danish version of solitary in the wild is a fishing contest. Unlike the American version, which is all about hunting. If you can't catch a fish, you go crazy in the shelter. Klaus saw a splash in the distance at the shelter door. It was a provocation for him. A grown man can't stand this kind of humiliation. Grab the rod and go fishing. Neither did the nets of Abmet. She had to try fishing. Grandma and Klaus are the only ones fishing right now. Just depends on who gets lucky today. Soon there will be fish on Granny's side. Matt kept lifting the stick. Looks like this fish is bigger. Took a lot of effort to pull it to shore. The fish struggled in the water. Grandma was exhausted by this time. She flung the fish against the rock with all her strength. By this time, the fish had been unhooked. Grandma wants to pick it up, but unfortunately, the fish finally escaped. Grandma was angry to keep saying rough words. That was a big fish I had a hard time catching. The fat of the mouth has escaped. Grandma really want to plunge into the water and drown. She sat on the shore and began to doubt life. Matt had a little luck today, but not much. But Klaus has no fish on his side. Again, no gain. On the way back, pick some birch bark. No meat to eat but bark. How much better is Yurik? He found that the fur he had brought had begun to shed. I wonder if this skin can be cooked and eaten. He crouched down to get emotional. I also thought of my daughter-in-law and children at home. Look at the state he's in. I don't think we're gonna be here much longer. Find something to do to pass the time. Klaus collected a lot of bark back to the shelter. He began to gather firewood for the winter. While the weather is still good, put any usable wood nearby into the shelter, so you can burn it in the winter. Klaus' shelter is full of dry firewood. Now he was very much looking forward to winter. Klaus has a nice shelter right now, but I had less luck fishing. If there's any fish left to eat, I think Klaus is the best player ever. No fish to eat, but water to survive. Yurik's side is also starting to renovate the shelter. He wanted to make a bigger roof cover, build a frame out of sticks, then put the tarp on, then put it directly on the roof. Looks pretty good. Annie's side finally finished remodeling the shelter. She got a big row of logs. It looks pretty nice. The contestants are perfecting their shelters. Winter in the Arctic Circle is nothing to sneeze at. Soren's sorting out the nets over here. It's almost done. This rate, Soren will soon be able to catch fish again. Klaus was collecting berries nearby. Berries are his only food at the moment. Sauron carried the organized desire to the shore. He's going to put a net on the rock. Sauron stood on the stone with his net and thought how to put the net deeper. When he throws out his net, it's getting messy again. He brought a stick, put the net deep. Let's hope we catch a fish. Yurik caught a fish over here. Today we can eat fish again. So far, only Ulrich has been able to eat fish. The fish is delicious and tender. Everyone else has started eating fish. Annie stood on the bank with an axe and went crazy. She kept hitting the axe. Girls who live alone in the wilderness are more or less dumb. Abumet was holding a piece of wood. It looks a lot like a chicken leg. I really want a bite. Eat if you want. I'm a moral explainer who doesn't usually laugh. Time came to day 17. In the wee hours of the morning, Yurik got up to get dressed. He's going hunting. Yurik really did it this time, getting up in the wee hours of winter to hunt. He wants to hunt deer and foxes. Look forward to catching a night pea. As the sky grows lighter, Yurik has been waiting, finally saw the prey appear. This is a little fox. Yurik changed his bow and arrow slowly. This might be his best chance to hunt. The fox is exploring ahead. Yurik made a sound and tried to attract it, just 35 meters away. He's waiting for the best chance to hunt. At last the fox left his hunting range, which means today's hunt has failed again. He went back to the shelter to sleep in. Annie woke up too. She wondered if everyone didn't want to get out of bed. Matt continues to perfect his fireplace today. She came to the shore to collect dirt. A fireplace hasn't been working for 3 days. Your grandma can go home and eat hormone-fried chicken. The weather is very cold today. The mushrooms Annie picked are frozen. Everyone felt much colder. Soren went out to shit and found wood mushrooms. He cut off a small piece. Then put a little wood ash into the pan. Boil the water and drink it. The iron pan is full of bubbles. This high guy is really hungry. Yurik's putting the tarp together. The raft he was building was leaking. That's why we need to remove it to check for leaks. Yurik was going to block the hole with a small cloth. He's got legs. And he brought glue. Why didn't you bring instant noodles? At noon, Yurik came out to dry with the wool pad. You'll sleep warmer this way. Today, he continues to remodel the shelter, digging shitholes and shelters with shovels. I don't know exactly what to do. Yurik's getting ready for a nap. This high guy has time not to go fishing. It's been a waste of time all morning. Soren worked the hardest. This high guy's been working. I haven't seen him fish many times. Although his shelter is good enough, but the shelter is still being perfected. When you get tired, you just lie down on the ground and rest. There are not enough food supplies. None of the players can pull themselves together. I have no strength to work. Matt's been working on his fireplace for days. The players go through stop-start work. Makes me think they're real. Annie saw the show cruise ship coming here. So what's going on here? Turns out the show sent them something. It's a brand new fishing net. This fishing net will help them in the winter. The Danish version of Solitary in the Wild would be no fun. It's in its 8th season. I can't believe there's a drop-off. It's only episode 4, and the contestants are already dying. Looks like he's trying to get more time. Let's give the contestants a little more time. But this is what the show does. What's the point of having a bunch of signed players here? After the players get their new tools, I started to have my own goals again. What do they think they're going to do next in the Arctic winter? Yurik took the raft to shore. He needs to reorganize. Put the net out to catch the fish. Now everyone wants to use the new nets to get fish. This new fishing net is like a shot in the arm. Everyone is doing things a lot more positively. The improvement of the shelter continues. Those with plans to catch fish have already started catching fish. A trawl saw their new state of mind. Yurik has set the net deep, and Annie's got a lot going for her. Her net caught a lot of fish. When Yurik puts the net in place, feel very happy, because he expects to catch fish. Even happier for Annie who caught the fish. She took her clothes off and showed them to me. Can you stand that? I have to say Annie has a pattern. Happy things happy with everyone. I honestly did see something, but I don't think it looks good, so I have to type it. And caught the fish very big. There is no doubt that today is the winner. At this rate, Annie has a very good chance of becoming the champion. She cooked a big pot of fish. After days of starvation, I finally got a full meal. Boiled fish is fishy, but it's delicious for someone who's been hungry for so long. Yurik also grills fish at the shelter. He got something today too, and put the fish's head on the rock. Why don't these high people want to eat fish heads? One side of the fish head goes to waste feeding the birds, and some hippies are too hungry to take a shit. Ulrich had been busy all day. Lie down and rest in the shelter. Meta finally finished building the fireplace. Looks pretty good. The fireplace provides plenty of heat for the shelter. Can sleep well tonight. The time came to day 18. You wake up in the morning and you're so cold, and went out to see a blanket of snow. It snowed all night last night. Yurik dared not get up. Klaus got up last night and peed 13 times. This high guy is off to a good start. The back has been keeping her hands warm in the shelter. This high guy, I saw him fall. Meta's been perfecting the shelter every day. Although progress is slow, but little by little, the results are showing. She perfected the walls of the shelter with many branches. I hope there's no air leaks tonight. Sauron sat at the shelter door with his fishing rod. He felt very dizzy and wanted to catch some fish. The shore has been covered with a layer of snow. Fishing is a little difficult in this weather. He was too tired to fish. Keep thinking I can't give up. Annie has plenty to eat and drink now. She's sitting in the shelter thinking about the high guy at home. At home, the two often seek excitement in the wild. They used to go fishing in the river together. What do you think about when you're fed? When I don't have enough to eat, I just want to eat. The next thing you know, the showboat shows up again. Depending on their state, Soren has a good chance of dropping out. But it's also possible that other high people quit. When the cruise boat docked to Sauron's sanctuary, Soren is feeling very dizzy now, and the feeling of wanting to throw up. The show asked him about his physical condition, got his blood pressure checked. Then the show called the doctor, asked for some basic information. The doctor's answer was, "We're taking Soren out for a checkup," which means he's out of the game. Sauron put a lot of effort into building the shelter. Haven't been able to go fishing. Food can't keep up with the thought of starving the body. This sanctuary was his creation. He put a lot of time and effort into it. It's winter now. The shelter is perfect, but people are starving. Mouth Chow was forced to withdraw from the game. He regretted the challenge. The shelter is very beautiful, but unfortunately, you haven't had much luck fishing, have you? I can't even take a boat ride anymore. There are 4 players left on the court. Klaus is going to make an oar. This wood is just right. Then take the fishing rod and go fishing. These high people are all the same. Yurik is also going to catch fish. He came to the shore. The raft has formed a layer of ice. He carried the shelf into the water, then put the net up. Put the raft in the water. Take a raft to the deep water. Yurik pulled the net further and further away. This time the net went out. It was a nice day for the net. The raft didn't leak either. Annie's side is continuing to remodel the shelter today. She's making the doorway smaller. Build another wooden wall in front of the door. The cabin has been beautifully perfected. Klaus finally gets the fish. I caught a small fish today. He gained instant confidence. There's enough fish today to keep him going for a few more days. Hungry for so many days. It's really exciting to catch a fish again. He took the fish back to the shelter. We're gonna have dinner tonight. Matt's been out hunting, but it never worked. I'm a fishing player. I've had several big meals. These hunting players, I can't take a shit 9 times a day. It's still snowing heavily. Matt's out there wandering around. If you can't go fishing, how should competitors face the Arctic winter next? Look forward to an update in the next video.